In the recent past, we have been treated to a lot of information regarding the Mali Money Market Fund by Safaricom in partnership with Genghis Capital. And we also have the newest kid on the block, that is Ziidi, by Safaricom and the other three fund managers in partnership. That is Ala Capital, we have Sanlam Insurance, and we have the SIB, Standard Investment Bank. It has come to a point where the struggle between Genghis Capital, the fund manager for Mali Money Market Fund, and Safaricom's battles have now come to the public limelight. A court battle probably that will come in where Genghis Capital is accusing Safaricom, but we have a few things that we need to look at and understand when it comes to investment in money market funds. And when these kind of tussle struggle happen, what is the option or what is left for the investor? We'll be looking at quite a number of things, probably about 8 items that are important about the new Ziidi Money Market Fund with respect to such risks. We will look at the 8 after 3 seconds short break, so don't go away. And as usual, engage us in the comment section, because we will always come back to the comment section, because that is our suggestion box. We'll be looking at what you're telling us to do next, or maybe to answer any queries that there may be. Give a like to the video, and you can share this information to another person, because the algorithm relies on such parameters to recommend this video to other people. See you after 3 seconds, a short break. The first thing that we are going to look at is disputes, legal or otherwise. What is the position or what is left for the investors when these two partners, the fund manager, that is Genghis Capital, and Safaricom, what happens to the investors and their investments? It is important to acknowledge or to take into picture the investor ecosystem when it comes to fund management. The investor monies or those investments are held in trust by the parties that are involved in that ecosystem, and therefore the reason why the fund manager cannot include the investor funds or the fund sum in their own financial records. Neither the custodian bank can they include those figures in their balance sheets or financial statements, because they belong to a third party and they are holding them on trust. And that's why also again it becomes very easy for the Capital Markets Authority, that is the regulator, to transfer that investment from one fund manager to another fund manager if need be. The investor ecosystem involves or has 3 parties in particular. We have the fund manager, who is charged with the pure responsibility of investing that money, looking for possible or plausible investments, and sourcing the funds that are held by another party, that is the custodian. So all funds that relating to the investors are held by the custodian, who is charged with the responsibility of safekeeping of that money. And the custodian will only release the money to different parties for reasons that they have confirmed and on the request by the fund manager. If it is a transfer to pay or to distribute interest, if they are paying the custodians, if they are going to pay the trustees, those transfers are done on the request of the fund manager. But the fund manager doesn't interact with the investor money. Then we have the trustee. The trustee is the one who is charged with the responsibility of giving advice and ensuring that the investor interests are protected. The trustee will ensure that the custodian is carrying out a mandate with regard to that investment and as per the investment policy, and the same with the fund manager. To ensure that these parties work in harmony and the regulator is involved, then the fund manager must hold at least one monthly meeting with the custodian and another monthly meeting separate with the trustee, and for each meeting they are supposed to file a report on quarterly basis with the regulator. So with these disputes happening, the regulator knows what is happening. And in any case, it is the same regulator who authorized Safaricom to create a different money market fund, that is Ziidi. And therefore, whatever is happening within Mali, that is not by extension going to affect the investors. The investments will continue as usual as the two parties battle out their dispute, either in court or through arbitration, which is more preferred because of the noise that come with court cases. The second item is the locking in. Locking in is enabling a feature that makes the amounts that you have invested in the money market fund no longer freely accessible by you. It limits your access or use of the funds that you have so far invested, and it's a good feature because it delays your gratification, it delays consumption, and thereby supports or props your investment. But there's something that distinguishes the kind of locking in that you get from Ziidi Money Market Fund and what you are getting from any other money market fund. Because ordinarily, when you elect to lock in, you lock your money market fund account completely. You are able to deposit or purchase units from that fund, but you cannot access any part of that fund or any part of your investment whatsoever. But when it comes to Ziidi Money Market Fund, because of the technology that Safaricom is using, and in much of it has been tailored to suit M-Pesa or has a lot that has been borrowed from M-Pesa, is that the kind of locking in that you're going to enjoy from Ziidi Money Market Fund, you'll be able to lock a part of your investment while another part can be freely accessed. So after saving for some time or after purchasing a couple of units from the fund, you can choose to lock in a part of that unit or of that investment in the Ziidi locking in feature. Once you have locked, to access, you unlock the file, you unlock the locked in funds the same way we unlock an ordinary money market fund account. Once you have unlocked, the amounts are released to your money market fund account or to your M-Pesa. You can choose to lock another part. But unlocking, you are unlocking the entire amount that is locked. You cannot access a part of the locked amount. So Ziidi will give you two parts of your money market fund account. A locking in part, which you can select to push part of your investment that is held in the Ziidi money market fund to locking in feature. As you continue to invest more in the same money market fund and having that additional part accessible. That is absent from the other money market fund account and is something that is very important noting. In addition to locking in, the question that I have received is whether this locking in bring or comes with additional benefit in terms of interest. And the answer is no, because it is not a primary feature of the money market fund account. The locking in is optional for all money market fund accounts as per the regulator, unless the fund manager on inception of that product, they make it known to the investors that there will be a specific duration that the fund will not be accessible to that investor. But generally, money market funds are supposed to be lock-in free. And therefore, once you have locked in your funds in any money market funds, it does not give you additional interest or any benefits. But we have special money market funds, especially in the wealth management category, that as part of the product, you are required to invest a specific amount of money for a fixed period of time. That is the only locking in that gives you additional benefits when compared to ordinary money market funds. So for the ordinary market funds, the locking in will not give you any additional benefits. But when we look at Ziidi money market fund, that locking in addition to making it or limiting your access to the funds, is also an important security feature. And for that reason, now we come to another item to look at, and that is risk of loss of your money or scamming within the Safaricom network. Because Ziidi Money Market Fund has been tailored to opt-in only M-Pesa subscribers or Safaricom subscribers. You cannot be an investor in Ziidi Money Market Fund unless or without being an M-Pesa subscriber. There is a lot of public outcry about illegal access to their M-Pesa account, and to some extent, scammers accessing including other money lending platforms, including M-Shwari and other mobile applications within mobile phones, and people, scammers accessing loans and withdrawing them from subscribers' M-Pesa accounts. And this is where the risk will lie, because Ziidi Money Market Fund uses the same M-Pesa PIN or the same PIN that you're using in M-Pesa. If scammers are able to hack into your M-Pesa account with your details, whichever means that they use, it means they will be able also to access your Ziidi Money Market Fund within the same platform. And that exposes your investments with the money market fund. But when you look at the feature, the locking in feature, once you have locked any amount in the Ziidi money market fund account, you to access that amount, you will have to wait for at least 72 hours. That is at least 3 days for those funds to be transferred from the locked-in money market fund or Ziidi money market fund to your M-Pesa or the MMF account. That gap can give you ample time to report the theft, maybe lock the account, and register a new line. So the locking in feature within Ziidi Money Market Fund is also a form of security by extension when you look at that risk of loss or scamming. Another important thing to look at is the question that has been raised about fund managers. Initially, for purposes of their registration and authorization by the Capital Markets Authority, it was disclosed that Safaricom had an arranged partnership with the 3 fund managers. That is Ala Capital, we had Sanlam, and SIB, that is Standard Investment Bank. But upon creation of the Ziidi Money Market, the Ziidi mini app, it needs a disclosure. It has stated that Safaricom, for that particular investment product, they are in partnership with the 2 fund managers, that is Ala Capital and Standard Investment Bank. By extension, if you look at the dispute between Safaricom and Genghis Capital, whom they're in partnership and rolling the Mali Money Market Fund investment product, SIB, who is also on the other side as a fund manager for Ziidi, owns Mali as a trademark, while the Mali Money Market Fund product is held by Genghis, and that is a discussion for another video. In particular, this one, we are looking at that question where some investors are looking at as an exposure or a risk, and some are attaching it to the reason why Ziidi Money Market Fund is giving a lower return compared to Mali Money Market Fund and other money market funds. But in our view as a channel, the number of fund managers that are in operation in any particular collective investment scheme does not affect distribution of returns to the investors, because management fees are capped by the regulator, and they are capped currently at a maximum of 2.5%. There is also the question of competition. All these fund managers, over 50 of them, but only around 40 are in operation, They are all in competition from the same public. That is their market. And therefore, there's a competition to ensure to maximize the returns to investors. And that one will come by also reducing the charges or the amount that they are charging as management fee. And for that reason, if you look at majority of the money market funds, they are charging about 2% as their annual management fees. And the same is in this arrangement. There being 3 or 2 fund managers in the arrangement for Ziidi Money Market Fund, that does not mean that each fund manager has to get the 2%. The 2% management fee is to be distributed to all the partners, all the parties in the investment ecosystem. Because part of that management fee includes a small percentage that is supposed to go to the custodian. There's a small percentage that is supposed to be paid to the trustees, and what is supposed to be paid to the individual fund managers. In some cases, we have seen several money market funds, including this one, that have exceeded the 2%. But remember, there is a capping of up to 2.5%, beyond which the fund managers are not allowed to exceed. That said, we can look at the question of data control. The information that is collected by Safaricom, that information belongs to Safaricom. The information does not belong to the fund manager. The question is on use. Has it been used illegally or legally? The question of whether it has been authorized or not does not affect the investment or the operation of the fund. The question is on use, the illegal use of that information, and whether it has been used for commercial purposes. In general, when we are investing in those two money market funds, whether it's Mali or Ziidi, most of the investors are not coming on board because of the fund managers. Majority of us, we are investing in Ziidi, or our investments in Mali were because of Safaricom. Remember again, to be a Safaricom subscriber, an M-Pesa subscriber is a prerequisite for you to be in either Mali or the money market fund. So the tag or the dispute on the data, whether the data was illegally transferred, that is a dispute that does not affect the investors whatsoever. The other important thing that begs a lot of discussion is customer service. Any subscriber who has attempted to call the Safaricom customer care will tell you that things have kept changing over time. And it's very difficult nowadays to get an agent online to take care of your questions. Much of what happens in that customer service desk, a lot has been automated. It's robotic. Most investors would want to engage with a human being on the other side and in the shortest time possible. With the Safaricom, if you call their customer service, it can take you more than 30 minutes to get an agent. And the same customer service desks are the ones that are supposed to be relied on again when it comes to the investment side. The Ziidi Money Market Fund investors will also have to go through the same difficult access to their customer service. I think that is something that need to be looked at, because Safaricom customer service, in terms of that investment compared to the rest, I think I'll rate it as the poorest. The other one is question of cost. In the process of your purchasing of units, purchasing of units is what we generally call deposits. When you deposit your money to your money market fund account, that process we call it a purchase of units. When you withdraw money from your money market fund account, that one we don't call it a withdrawal, but we call it a sale of units. There are costs that are involved. When you are transacting through the mobile platforms, you are going to incur a cost to deposit. You are also going to incur a cost to withdraw or to sell. In that process, depending on where your account or the receiving account lie, the cost will vary from one channel to another. If your bank account resides in the same bank with the custodian bank of the fund manager where you have your money market fund, then you are incurring maybe two shillings and 50 cents for a transfer, because that is an inter account transfer. You are transferring from an account to another account sitting with the same bank. If you are transferring from the fund manager MMF account to your M-Pesa account, that will attract a different charge. All those are costs that most investors don't put into consideration when they are looking at their returns. But any cost eats into your returns. In the case of Ziidi Money Market Fund account, when you are depositing from M-Pesa to the account or withdrawing from Ziidi back to M-Pesa, those transactions are free of charge, because Safaricom majorly makes its transactional incomes on the M-Pesa platform. Because the moment you bring, but that cost will depend on the use for the money that you have withdrawn from Ziidi, because if you can pay it through a till for the reason that you are withdrawing, then it also comes free of cost. So as an investor, you are the ones tasked with the responsibility of minimizing your costs towards your investments. You can also consider reducing the number of times that you access money from your investment account by having small budgets, maybe weekly budgets or monthly budgets, if you are making drawdowns from those investment accounts. Lastly, but not the least, a question has also been raised on the question of third parties. Some people are still jittery about M-Pesa with the developments that the government department, that KRA, may be given direct access to information regarding our M-Pesas and other investment platforms within Safaricom. But there is an investor you need not to worry about that access of that kind of information, because your investments in money market funds or other collective investment schemes, the tax involved in those investments, it's not your responsibility to account for that tax. Accounting for a tax means filing returns with regard to that particular tax. Withholding taxes are final taxes with respect to this kind of investments, and therefore the responsibility to account for that tax or file a return with regard to that tax and also remit it, rests with the fund manager. The interest that you earn from investments in money market funds and these collective investment schemes are net of withholding tax. The tax has already been deducted, because actually it's not your individual amount that is, or each investor is not taxed separately. It is the fund total that is taxed. The fund is taxed as a whole, and that remittance is done by the fund manager. The net amount is what is distributed to the investors as per your units in that fund. It's not about the amount. It is as per the units that you have purchased in the fund. And therefore, you should make sure at any given time you maintain a number of units in your fund to attract a great amount of returns. Thank you for watching.